Hey guys, it's Steph Davis here from flipthiswholesaler.net. I have a new Q&A video to share with you guys. This time around I'm going to be talking about wholesaling listed properties. I get a lot of questions about listed properties, which ones to go after, how to go about it, etc. So my question this week came from Mel, and Mel's email reads, "Hello Steph. I'm getting ready to make offers on MLS properties, but I'm not sure which ones to go after. Should I just lowball everything, or is there a smarter way to go about it? Also, can I use any contract when making my offers, or is there a specific contract for homes on the MLS? I'm in Des Moines, Iowa. Thanks, Mel." All right, Mel, excellent question. So first of all, I'm going to go in a second. I'm going to go into Zillow and show you exactly how I decide. I'm very picky, and I have a very specific type of property that I am looking for when I go in to make offers on the MLS. It's extremely competitive where I am at in my market, so I don't make a whole lot of offers. I do every now and again, and every now and again I get one. But before I go into Zillow and show you that, I just wanted to go over some quick points about wholesaling listed properties because they are a little bit different than wholesaling houses from a private seller. So first of all, to answer one of your questions, Mel, you cannot use your own contract when you're making offers on listed properties. You have to use the state-approved Board of Realtors contract for your state, and the agent who you're making the offer through, whether it be a buyer's agent or the listing agent of the property, they will supply you with that contract. So don't go in there or approach them and try and use your own because they're not going to let you. The second thing about listed properties is that you're going to need an earnest money deposit, usually at a minimum $500 to $1,000 and sometimes more. So just know that up front. That is going to be when you put your offer in, you're going to need to have that earnest money deposit. That's one of the drawbacks when if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of cash. That is one of the drawbacks of going after listed properties, that you are going to need to cough up that earnest money deposit. The upside to going after listed properties is that you don't have to spend money on marketing because you can just go on the MLS or Zillow, Redfin, or whatever, and find the leads that way. So the other thing, most of the time you're going to need a proof of funds letter, especially if it's a bank-owned or a short sale. They almost 100% of the time are going to require that you submit a proof of funds letter if you're making a cash offer. Now, you can use a bank statement if you actually have the cash in your bank account, or you can get a generic letter from a transactional lender. The one that I recommend, it's my friend Brian's company. It's Tailwind Funding, but the website address is fundthiswholesaler.net, and you can get, I think they're $2 per letter or like $10 for unlimited per month. So you can use a generic letter like that. Now, those will not work all of the time. I have students pretty much all over the country, and they're all using them right now. Every once in a while they'll run into an agent who says, "This isn't going to cut it, we need a bank statement." But if you have nothing else to work with, a letter from a transactional lender will suffice. When I was just starting out, I used my dad's, he had a line of credit, and I used this statement from my dad's line of credit. It didn't even have my name on it. No one, I think maybe one time an agent asked me about it, and I just said that it was my partner. So, but just keep in mind, you'll need a proof of funds letter, you'll need an earnest money deposit. With bank-owned properties and short sales, you're not going to be able to assign your contract. Like when you're dealing with a private seller, you put the property under contract with a purchase and sale contract, and then you can simply assign that contract to your end buyer using an assignment of contract agreement, and then there's one closing and that's it. You get paid. With listed properties, with bank-owned properties and short sales, the banks in their contracts, in their addenda, they have clauses in there that say that you cannot assign your contract, so you have to do a double closing where you're actually purchasing the property from the bank, closing on it, and then immediately reselling to your end buyer. And that is accomplished through either a double closing or a simultaneous closing. My suggestion is to just find out, if you're going to be pursuing listed properties, bank-owned properties, short sales, just find out. There are some title companies where you don't actually have to bring cash to close on that first transaction. They use the end buyer, your end buyer's funds, to fund both transactions. Those title companies are few and far between, so you might have to actually do a double closing where you're actually closing on the first transaction, like I said, and then reselling to your end buyer. And you can use a transactional lender to get the funding for that. Again, my recommendation is my friend's company. It's Tailwind Funding. His name is Brian Miden, but there are a ton of transactional lenders out there. If you just Google transactional funding, you'll get a whole bunch of different options. So, and with transactional lending, you don't have to qualify. It doesn't matter if your credit is good, if you're unemployed. It makes absolutely no difference. The only stipulation is that you have to have your end buyer lined up already and under contract. So they're basically just going to wire the funds to the title company. You're going to purchase the property from the bank, and then right there at this immediately after, you're going to resell it to your end buyer. So the transactional lender is just basically funding the money for a very short time period. And like I said, they don't check your credit. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a job. None of that matters. You just have to have the end buyer lined up and under contract. So it sounds kind of complicated, and I remember before I closed my first bank-owned wholesale deal, I was absolutely terrified. It seemed so confusing, but I had a good title company lined up ahead of time, and I recommend that you do that as well. If you don't know who to use, just ask around, call some I buy houses signs, or if you know any other wholesalers or investors, or go to your RIA meeting and just ask for a recommendation. Having a good investor-friendly title company on your side is worth its weight in gold, and it will just help this whole process. It will go smoothly. They're used to doing this day in and day out. So, all right. Let's see. I think I covered everything here. Yes, I did. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to Zillow and show you what I am looking for when I go into the MLS and figure out which properties that I'm going to offer on. And what I'm looking for, I do not. I know, Mel, you asked, should you just go out and lowball everything? I think that is a really bad idea. Now, could you, or would you, if you did that, if you just went out and lowballed every single property on the MLS, could you get a deal out of that? Yes, you could, but you're going to end up, first of all, wasting a lot of people's time, both yours and the agents and the sellers, and you're going to annoy a lot of people. So my suggestion is this is how I go about it, is when I'm looking at the listings, I am looking for motivation. If I do not think that there is some type of motivation there, then I'm not going to make an offer. And the first thing that I look for that tells me, or is a signal that the seller might possibly be motivated, is if the list price is already priced below market value. If there's a property on the market and it is listed at full list price, I'm not going to bother lowballing it. I am, number one, first and foremost, I'm looking at properties that are priced below market value. So this example here, I went into and just pulled up properties in Des Moines, Iowa, where Mel is located. And I also, when I'm choosing neighborhoods to work in or to make offers on, do deals in, I'm looking for, I don't want to be in the high end, like luxury. Not to say that you can't wholesale luxury properties, but your pool of buyers for those type of properties are going to be way less. You don't want to be in a war zone either, where there are bullets whizzing by. You want to be in the sweet spot for me is, and where most of the investor and wholesaling activity goes on, is in the blue collar, bread and butter type neighborhood. So I just went and I just pulled up this little section here, and just to give you an example, you can see here that most all of these properties are listed 100,000 and more. This is 144, 180, 215, 150, 114, 129, 142, and then you have this one here for 75. That immediately is where my eyes are drawn. So I'm going to click on that one. And so for me, the sweet spot and what I am looking for in a perfect scenario is, I want, number one, like I just said, properties that are already priced below market value, vacant properties, properties that need work, properties that have been on the market for several months or more, and that have had several price drops and that have been put under contract and then come back on the market. Okay, so if I can get all of those characteristics, that's going to be definitely something that I'm going to want to make an offer on, because all of those things can lead to motivation. So in this one, for example, okay, so this one is, it's listed for $74,900. So the first thing that I do is I go down and look at the history, the price history, to see what is going on. You can learn a lot of great information in this little drop down thingy here. So I'm going to click on that. And if I scroll down, I want to know, okay, so this was put on the market in January 13th of this year. So it's been on the market for a while. It was originally listed for $89,900. Then it went pending, so that means it was put under contract February 6th, and it came back on the market in over 2 months later, came back on the market with a price drop on April 30th. They dropped the price $10,000. Okay, then it went back under contract May 11th, and then it came back on the market with another price change on May 29th. So this right here, to me, this is definitely something that I would be interested in making an offer on. Number one, it's priced well below market value already. Number two, it's been on the market since January. Number three, it's gone under contract and came back on the market a couple of times. And why is that important? Because this can be very stressful for sellers to, they get an offer on a property, they think that they're going to be done with it and get their cash and move on, and then no, it comes the contract falls through for whatever reason. So that's happened twice. They've dropped the price of $15,000 from the original list price. That to me spells motivation. Also, I look through the pictures here, and it looks like the home needs some TLC. I'm just going to scroll through here. Looks like they need a cleaner as well in there. But if you can see that it looks like it's going to need some repairs. So that, coupled with the fact that that it's already priced below market, it's been on the market for quite a while, and it's had several price drops and gone in and out of contract a couple of times. So this right here would be an example of something that I would make an offer on. Now, how much would I offer? I'd have to do some more research. I can maybe explain a little bit more about that in a different video, but I'd have to do a little bit more research, check out the comps, check out the investor comps in the area, what the cash investors are paying for similar properties. Of course, I'm going to have to find out more about what repairs are needed, and then I would make an offer. But on something like this, I would have no problem offering $20,000 or $30,000 below market, because I have a reason to. I sense motivation here. This, to me, seems like it could be a very motivated seller. It's priced low, it needs work, it's been on the market for a while, they've dropped the price. So what I would do next is contact the listing agent. I always just make my offers directly through the listing agent, and you can't see it here because this stupid ad on the right is covering it up, and I don't know how to get rid of it, and it's driving me crazy. But behind that is the listing agent's information. So I just give them a call, and a lot of times when you call them, I just call them, I tell them I'm an investor, I'm interested in making an offer on this property. It's probably going to be below what they are asking. A lot of times you can get some really great information from the agent. They might tell you about the history of the property, or maybe if there's repairs, like a major repair that you can't tell from the pictures or something like that. And sometimes too, they'll tell me, like if I say, I want to make a cash offer on this property, but it's going to be well below list price. Sometimes they'll say, well, don't even bother because we just got a cash offer in yesterday for $5,000 below list price, and they didn't take it because they owe too much on the property and they can't take it. So you can get some great information that way, but I just go ahead, contact the listing agent, and make the offer directly to the listing agent. So that's kind of how I go about it. Again, I do not recommend just going out and lowballing every single property on the MLS, because you're going to make a lot of agents mad. You're going to get a bad reputation for yourself very quickly. Instead, go through the listings, take your time, and look for motivation. That has always been my strategy. It's worked well for me. It's more difficult, definitely more difficult now, because there is more competition and less deals. But like I said, if I see something like a listing like this, I put in offers occasionally, and occasionally I get them under contract. Now, one thing I wanted to point out too, that's my strategy. I like going after the older listings and offering below what they're listed at to basically create my own deal. But that's not to say that you can't get deals on newly listed properties. Like a lot of times banks will come out, they'll put a property on the market at a fantastic price. Like it's already a great deal at list price, but what happens, at least in my market, because there's so much competition, is everyone and their grandmother, all of the wholesalers, all of the investors are going to be putting offers in on that property, and then it goes to highest and best, and I don't like dealing with that. So I would rather go after listings like this one and create the deal myself with a lower than list price offer. So I think that wraps it up, Mel. I hope I shed some light on your on the questions that you asked. If you or anyone else would like me to clarify anything or wants to add anything to this, feel free to leave a comment over on my blog. It's flipthiswholesaler.net. Just leave a comment in the comment section below the video, and I'm happy to help you out if I can. I think that does it for today. You guys have a fantastic afternoon, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.